Furusato, that's going to be easier said than done, though. A second is the gap now.
Yes, and Furusato, the fastest man out there last time around at 1:44.514, so half a second lost by Feardaus and Mie last time around. The gap, as you say, over a second. In fact, it's gone up further through the end of that first sector. Hongo recovering quite nicely onto the tail of Feardaus and Mie, so we could have a three-rider battle for third position, but at the moment the focus on top spot because Furusato has continued to gain on this lap. It was 4/10 at the start of lap 4, the gap between the top two. It's now just 2/10.
Yeah, Hongo's been fast all the way through this weekend. Obviously a front row starter for the opening two races of the weekend, 6th on the grid for this one, and he was able to keep himself in the leading battle in race 1 before that crash, so hopefully he's able to get himself into this podium scrap, see if he's able to come away with something from this race.
So as we stand, 4 laps heading towards the completion of the 4th of 12 laps, so heading towards a third race distance already, such as the sprint, of course, with 4 of the laps removed as a result of scheduling conflicts, basically. Daniel Sharil, the race leader, and Furusato, who has led from lap 3 onwards in the 2 previous races this weekend, might be able to get through on lap 4, not quite. Just about holding the line, Daniel Sharil, so at very least he's made Furusato wait longer to hit the front this time around.
Yeah, certainly, and what we've seen all the way through this weekend has been that once Furusato hits the front, he likes to stay there, and that's why he's been able to win every race so far this season. But he's been able to do it with a combination of speed, but mostly just by having that really cool racing brain that he has, and he's managed races really well all the way through this season. Has a quick look over his shoulder, he sees the gap back to Feardaus. It's 1.3 seconds now.
Yes, perfect example of that maturity from Furusato, just looking over his shoulder. What have I got in hand? How many riders are in the group? Which is usually the indication that the riders want to know. Furusato then knows he's got plenty in hand, 1.3 seconds over Feardaus behind. So it is all about the top 2 as things stand. Furusato, a couple of tenths of a second faster than Sharil last time around, as I said. Got the gap down from 4/10 to 2/10. It's a lot less than that now, and I think he'll be eyeing up a move as early as turn 10 here, ducking out of the slipstream. The battle for the race lead as they head in towards turn 10. This is the fight for third position. Feardaus ahead of Mie. Mie turns across the path of Hongo's going to run wide now. Hongo gets it back to claim the position. Sharil still defending the lead. Furusato, though, all over the back of him, swarming like wasps now.
Yeah, all go from Hongo and Furusato as they try and make their moves, and certainly Hongo looks like he's going to be in a position to try and attack Feardaus pretty quickly as well to get onto those podium spots. Furusato, he might try and make the move into turn 15. You know, like the turn 1's going to be the best opportunity for him to make a nice clean move.
Yes, all go from Hongo and gun-ho from Gun Mie. Up at the front of the field, Furusato through on Daniel Sharil. It's taken him longer than it has in the 2 previous races of this weekend, but it's lap 5 of 12, and Furusato is back where he's been all season, at the front.
Yeah, nice clean move there into 15, and willing to push on to make that move as well. And obviously we've had changeable conditions over the course of this morning, and these riders finding their feet as they go through. Last time around, Furusato was just a couple of tenths of a second off the fastest lap of the race, and that was with that making that move.
Side by side as they head in towards turn 1 on lap 6 here. Daniel Sharil keen to rediscover top spot. Behind their swapping and changing positions, Hongo, Mie and Feardaus is now that order. And we know that the advantage could well be with the rider in the middle of that pack in the closing stages, just to try and find their way through.
Yeah, you can see with Hongo, he's trying to open up a little bit of a gap there over the 5 of Gun Mie, and last time around it was Hongo that was the fastest rider on the racetrack, only a couple of hundredths of a second faster than Furusato, but that's what's stretching out that second group a little bit.
And the third group is beginning to catch up. Dandy gaining last time around with a new personal best lap of 1:44.8, almost a second on Feardaus, and he's made up half a second just in the first sector of lap 6 as well. You can see him in the background of the shot there with the dark helmet. As these 3 are beginning to scrap with one another, we could create a larger group in pursuit of the last of these podium positions, and that's what I was talking about in terms of advantage being with the rider behind, as Daniel Sharil again looks down the inside of Furusato in towards turn 11. We've seen him already this weekend make a pass into turn 12 on Furusato. Couldn't quite get it done there.
Yeah, what's interesting about Dandy in 6th position is that he's doing that on his own as well. He's managed to break away from Fadilla behind him, and the Indonesian rider closing in, like you said, Alex, already a half a second faster in this lap as well. So the gap now 1.7 seconds between him and that podium battle.
Elian Dandy, who has done the full season of the 2021 Asia Talent Cup, unlike a few of his fellow countrymen who have joined the championship later on for their home round, and Dandy with the best finish of 10th place. and that was here yesterday. So if he can hang on where he is or even close down the battle for the podium positions, that will be a fine achievement. Shireel is going to lead at the end of lap number 6. He's back through on Furusato. Now we really are into uncharted waters, because Furusato led every lap over the line once he hit the front over the last 2 races.
Yeah, we saw with Shireel there, just able to take advantage of Furusato running a little bit deep into the penultimate corner. He's able to hold his tight line. Pretty easy overtaking move for Shireel. We'll see what he can do out in front. Like you said though, Alex, Furusato, once he gets the front, wants to stay there, so we'll see if he immediately tries to attack back.
New personal best laps last time around from Fadila and Pratama, so they are going with the Indonesian in 6th position, and just a second covering 6th to 8th as they try and bridge the gap to the 3 riders in the fight for 3rd, 4th and 5th. It's now down to 1.5 seconds between Firdaus in P5 and Dandy in P6. It's going to turn into a bit of an Indonesian national championship for 5th position as things stand.
Yeah, and Dandy lost a few tenths of a second in that final sector last time around, so he needs to just make sure he's able to focus up and close up on that podium battle. What's happened though is Fadila's right there with him. Pratama's just got through on Fadila on the background there into turn 10.
And we also saw the overtake there with Gunmie going backwards from 4th position and Firdaus recovering P4. So it's Hongo, Firdaus and Mie now. Dandy, while Pratama and Fadila were fighting behind, has got a little bit more breathing room behind him than he had previously. He's continuing to try and fight that gap down. It's now down to just 1.2 seconds to 5th position, which is now held by Gunmie on the number 5, Daniel Shireel and Tayo Furusato. Furusato and Shireel, the top 2 in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. That looks like being the way things stay as far as Daniel Shireel is concerned for taking P2 in the series, but he wants to do it in style with a race victory to finally end Furusato's unbeaten run.
Yeah, Furusato try and make it a magnificent 7 here at the start of the Asia Talent Cup season, and final round of the year he wants to make sure he keeps that 100% record. You can see though Shireel on the 21 getting alongside him on the run into turn 1, not close enough to make the move, but behind them the number 10 in a fair days, close enough to try and attack. But once again we see some good riding there by Hongo to hold on to that podium spot.
Yes, I think more fearless than Firdaus at the moment, the number 10, who keeps slinging it down the inside, desperate to make those passes, desperate to hold track position. And at the moment the man under attack is Hongo on the number 17 bike, the yellow helmet there at the front of this trio. That's Gunmie, the rider who needs to beat Daniel Shireel today if he's to take 2nd in the Asia Talent Cup for 2021 overall. As things stand, that looks unlikely, and the top 3 as they've finished in the 2 races so far this weekend for Sato, Shireel and Mie in that order on both occasions as well, look like being the top 3 in championship order as well. Still the fight continues for 3rd position, and still we've got a duel at the top of the field. Aditama just getting bumped out of the way there to the back of that 3-rider trio that's trying to close down Dandy, but things beginning to settle down actually now from 6th position back. Yeah,
Aditama there on the number 3 machine. He's managed to get a bit further into this race than the rest of this weekend so far. He's had a pretty trying season with a lot of retirements, even though he's regularly been up inside those top 6 or 7 spots.
Dandy losing time for the first time on this lap. The gap now up to 1.4 seconds to Gunmie in 5th position. I think the main reason for that is that Hongo, Firdaus and Mie haven't been swapping positions with the same regularity over the course of lap number 8. This is the battle for 7th position. Veda Pratama there on the number 25, who made his Asia Talent Cup debut at the start of this weekend. And up the order for 3rd position. A change up there once again. So Firdaus through on Hongo and Mie, but they're all in a pack as they head towards turn 1, covered by less than a tenth of a second. That might not last for too much longer. Shireel back through on Furusato. There was only 18 thousandths in it between them over the line at the end of lap number 8. This is good actually. We're seeing even more duelling between the top 2 than we've seen over the 2 races so far.
Yeah, and it's been good riding as well from Daniel Shireel to make a few moves on Furusato. We've seen Furusato dominate race at the start of the year, at the opening round of the year in support of the Qatar Grand Prix. From Doha and then into here in Mandalika, though, it's been a very different story, and Furusato's been under pressure. Shireel's done a really good job to keep him honest, but he wants to finish the season with a race victory.
New personal best lap last time around from Daniel Shireel, 144.528, 144.6 from Furusato, so there's still not too much to choose between them as Furusato goes around the outside in towards turn 10 and gets it done in the braking zone. Battle for 3rd position ongoing. Gunmie through again on Firdaus. Firdaus switches it back up the inside, cuts across his path running wide. There is Dandy, had managed to get the gap down to 8 tenths of a second. That's really unfortunate for him. He'd made up 8 tenths on this lap alone, trying to chase down Hongo, Mie and Feardaus ahead of him, but runs very wide. That could be part of the reason actually why he was able to make so much time, perhaps crossing the timing beam off the circuit altogether.
Well, we did see into turn 1 that the podium riders, Feardaus on the number 10, Mie on the number 5 and Hongo on the 17 were all side by side into turn 1, so that would have also helped Dandy a little bit with them battling like that.
And Pratama, Fadilla and Aditama are now right onto the tail of Dandy, so it's a 4-rider group for 6th as opposed to a 3-rider group for 7th. Yeah, and certainly it is heating up now in the final 3 laps, and you can see for Furusato that brave move around the outside into turn 10. He's going to be under attack though into turn 1 from Daniel Sharil. Sharil exactly where he needs to be at the start of the longest straight on this Mandalika International Circuit, capitalising on the slipstream. It's not as potent as it might be at some other circuits, and certainly even in Qatar from the season opener, but it is enough if you're on the tail of someone at the beginning of that straight to find your way through by the end of it. What it doesn't look like it's enough for is a last bend run off the final turn. It's a very short run to the line, so you're going to need to hold track position coming through that final turn 17. Yeah, you need to make the move on the run into turn 15 on that last lap, maybe into the ever tightening 16 as well, but certainly it is a case of having to make the move nice and early to give yourself that chance. 2.5 laps to go, and we've seen Furusato keep a cool head through the course of the racing so far this weekend. We'll see if he's able to do the same in the last 2.5 laps, or if he attacks straight down into turn 10. He's gone through. Furusato, Sharil up front. Quick word for Veda Pratama, just 12 years of age, the Indonesian youngster, fastest man out there last time around, the new fastest lap of the race as well, a 1:44.244. Dandy's got the gap down to Hongo to below a second, and Pratama is right with him. Now the two of them need to avoid fighting and scrapping if they want to get into podium contention. That is becoming a real group in the background of the shot. Mie, Hongo, Feardaus, Pratama, Dandy, Aditama and Fadilla all covered by 2 seconds in the battle for the last of the podium places. We're watching the leaders swapping and changing, and behind them it's all about to kick off as well. Yeah, and Pratama's made that move through on Dandy. He's also picked up 1.1 seconds on Feardaus, Honga and Mie on this lap as well, so he's really impressed. We can see that flash of what must be about 5 or 6 bikes in the background, just fighting it out for that last spot on the podium. Well, I make it 7 in total, with Fadilla tagging onto their tail, only 0.4 of a second behind as well. Lap 11 of 12, 2 to go. 1/10 of a second in it between Furusato and Sharil. Sharil this time goes to the outside. Furusato sweeps across, has comfortably got enough on the brakes into turn 1. Here's the fight behind Mie. Hongo on the 17, the yellow helmet. Feardaus, the green helmet, the number 10. Pratama, the number 25. Dandy, the number 11. And Aditama is right there. And there's Fadilla at the back of that group, having just set a new personal best lap last time around, a 1:44.359, to actually close in half a second on the riders around him. So we've got a real group from 3rd position all the way down to 9th. Incredible stuff. Best race of the weekend so far. Yeah, 2 laps to go, and you might as well be picking the lottery numbers to see who's going to finish on the podium there, but it is Mie up there in 3rd spot once again as it sits right now, but Hongo is going to attack. He's been attacking all the way through. Pratama on the number 25 machine, he's the rider that's been making all those moves as well, a lot faster than the other riders in that group. Yes, at this precise moment we've got the same result as we would have had in the first 2 races of the weekend, but there's a very great chance that that will change between now and the end of the race. 1 lap and 1 sector to go. They're just coming into the 4th and final sector of lap 11, with Furusato defending against Sharil, a 1/10 of a second in it between them. 4 seconds the gap to Mie now, who sits in 3rd position ahead of Hongo, Feardaus, Dandy, Pratama, Aditama and Fadilla, with Wakamatsu rounding out your top 10 for the record in a very separate group, 6.5 seconds further back. As for the leaders, Furusato defending position. He hasn't been allowing Sharil to make those moves over the last lap or so. Yeah, 1 lap to go when they come across the line, so Sharil's going to have probably 3 more opportunities to try and make a move. We'll see if he makes the move before we get to turn 10. Turn 10 has been the favourite overtaking opportunity for everyone during the course of the weekend so far, so certainly for the number 21 and Daniel Sharil, probably best to keep your powder dry until turn 10. Daniel Sharil then holding station behind Furusato. We saw him duck out of the slipstream pretty early down the straight. And talking about big moves, down the inside goes Hongo on Mie there into turn 1 for the final lap. Mie 3rd position, relieved of it anyway by Hongo, and then it's Feardaus and Dandy directly behind. And Dandy with Pratama, Aditama. I think Aditama might have made a position or 2 there as well on Fadilla, who's directly behind. But back at the front, Furusato, 1/10 of a second his lead over Daniel Sharil. in control of this race or under pressure? We're about to find out. In towards turn 10. We've seen Shireel impetuous on occasions, trying to get his moves done early, and it's then cost him because he hasn't made the braking zones. Is he going to get it stopped for turn 10? No, he isn't. Same again from Shireel, over trying, desperate to find his way through, and I think that's good enough now for Furusato.
Yeah, Furusato now with enough in hand, so we turn to the battle for third, and you can see now it's Aditama at the front of that group on the number 3 machine. It's actually Gunmiya, sorry, on the number 5.
Yes, Aditama's fourth in that group as ducking through goes Hongo, very close to the back of Gunmiya. We're looking at the same podium trio that we've had in the opening 2 races of this weekend so far, but only if Gunmiya can successfully defend third. Feardaus, I think, picked off there by Aditama, so Aditama has made up a position, and now third in that group, 5th in the race. Mie Hongo with Feardaus and Aditama scrapping for position, the 2 green helmeted riders helpfully together with one another on the circuit. Into the final turn then to make it 7 wins out of 7, an unbroken, unbeatable record in 2021, or is it? It's very close over the line, but Furusato just about holds on. He is unbeaten in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. Shireel with a 3rd consecutive runner-up ranking this weekend. Gunmiya again completes the podium, so the same podium that we've had in all 3 races of the Indonesian round of the Asia Talent Cup for 2021, but that's been the most entertaining of the 3 races, I would suggest.
Yeah, I have to say, for Daniel Shireel on the number 21 machine, that's 5 consecutive times he's followed home Furusato and really closely matched him, but he's come away with 2nd place each time. And Furusato, he finishes the season as the maximum man, and 7 wins out of 7 shows just how strong he's been. But Daniel Shireel's actually done a really good job all the way through this ATC season. Gunmiya finishes the season off 3rd in the championship standings, 3 podiums here in Indonesia and 5 podiums for the season.
Heads off to the Moto3 World Championship next season, does Taiyo Furusato, and he does so unbeaten in 2021. He'll have his work cut out continuing that run next season, I can tell you that. But Furusato certainly leaves the Asia Talent Cup with his head held high. Yeah,
Furusato did a really good job in Europe as well this season, racing in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. He won in his debut in Mugello. He was in the lead in Sachsenring before a crash. He had another podium. He had good performances all the way through that season, so he's a known quantity in Europe. He knows a lot of the tracks, and we've also seen a rider come from the Red Bull Rookies Cup fairly recently and do a good job in the Moto3 World Championship, so he's certainly going to feel that he's got a chance of being able to hit the ground running.
3rd consecutive 3rd place for Gunmiya. All of the races this weekend he has finished in P3, but in that one he really had his work cut out because he had to defend against the attacks of Herjan Feardaus, and it looked like he was willing to throw everything at that to get an Indonesian on the podium today.
Yeah, a very different battle there for Gunmiya today compared to what we've seen in the previous 2 days, and instead of being just dropping off that pace in the closing stages, not quite able to match Shireel and Furusato, this one was all about trying to make sure you could scrap it out, because we saw Hongo try and attack him Feardaus in those final couple of corners as well, and ultimately Gunmiya was able to hold them at bay, hold them off for that podium spot.
In the end, the 2 retirements in the early stages of that race were the only retirements. From there on in, it was a clean one.
Yeah, it was a really good, clean battle between all those riders, and we saw them come close to a few instants at different times during the race. But what was really impressive was riders being able to come back to those groups as well. We saw Dandy and Fadila and Pratama really strong in the middle section of this race to bring themselves onto that podium battle, and that's why we ended up with 7 riders trying to scrap it out for that last step in the podium.
Asia Talent Cup settled as far as the title itself was concerned here yesterday in favour of Furusato, and he will end the season 56 points ahead of Daniel Shireel, 70 points ahead of Gunmiya, and that is your top 3 in the championship standings. But strong performances from some of our Indonesian riders here today. Strong performance, for example, from Herjan Feardaus, his 15th start in the Asia Talent Cup, and as close as he's come to a podium for a while, still just that 1 podium to his name to date.
Yeah, and certainly the Indonesian riders, they've been able to see some good riders come through in this class in the past, and the young rider, especially Pratama, that's going to give him a lot of hope to be able to try and make some steps forward next year, see if he's able to come through and challenge at the front again next year. Certainly after a year off for Asia Talent Cup, it's been great to see it back in action this year, and great to see some of the battles we've had out there.
Yes, I'd also make a quick mention of Fadila Aditama, who had only managed to finish 1 of the 6 races so far this season. He finishes here in race 3, and he claims 6th position as well, so that's his best best result. Furusato, your race winner ahead of Shireel, less than a tenth of a second in it, 0.0 as you can see on your screen. Gunmie, 5.9 seconds down on Furusato at the checkered flag, but his successful defence of third position means it's 3 podiums in a row. Herjan Firdaus, the best of the Indonesian riders with P4. Hongo, certainly action-packed race for him from P5. Aditama, Dandy, Fadilla, Pratama, and Wakamatsu eventually holding on ahead of the second of the Shireels, the number 20, and Tom Drain as well to claim P10. All about Furusato this season, and some of the moves he's been making and some of the bravery as well really suggests he's a man for the future.
Yeah, he really has stepped up this year, and he's done a really good job, and that's why he's going to be able to move up to the World Championship next year. And it's going to be interesting to see how he does. I think he's a rider that is an exciting prospect coming over from Japan, only 16 years of age. And he's going to be a rider that a lot of people are going to keep an eye on next season. But it is also a case of in the World Championship, it does take time to learn. You've got to build yourself up for that as well. He's going to have his first test in a couple of months' time down in Jerez in February.
Don't want to keep banging the same drum, but a remarkable story for Daniel Shireel as well. That's podium number 10 for him in the Asia Talent Cup, and it is a 5th consecutive second place, all of them behind Taiyo Furusato, because he's been unbeaten from 7 races in 2021. Gunmie best of the rest with P3, as I said, whole pack of Indonesian riders there. Masaya Hongo, the only odd one out, and 5 of them in the next 6 positions. Rei Wakamatsu of Japan rounding out the top 10, and we had eventually 17 finishers out of 19 starters, just 2 retirements. Incident early on for Tetsuya Fujita. Unfortunate for him, particularly after an excellent qualifying that put him 5th on the grid, and after an excellent 7th position finish from all the way down the order here in race 2. And Carter Thompson, well, he will still finish the Asia Talent Cup in 4th position overall because his nearest rivals in points terms, Danish and Hamada, were already ruled out after their respective crashes in race 1. So here is confirmation of the final classification for 2021, the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, won by Taiyo Furusato with 175 points, 56 points back. Daniel Shireel, who takes 2nd, Gunmie 3rd on 105. Carter Thompson, best of the rest. Masaya Hongo making some late progress in the standings, 4th position in race 2 and 5th position in race 3 of the 2021 Indonesian round. Certainly his best scores to date.
Okay, so we are ready then to get ready for the podium. All riders are here. And again, looks as though the 3 riders involved, they had a pretty good race. And they're just taking some refreshments. They seem to have enjoyed their time racing here at the all-new Mandalika Street Circuit. Great racing.
Time to present trophies then to our podium trio. All smiles. Gunmie is the first rider called up onto the stage. Good to have the paddock show here in Indonesia as well. Little bow from Mie, the number 5, bringing it home for 3 third positions in a row, and that is podium number 5 in the Asia Talent Cup after a 2nd position back at the Qatar Grand Prix and a 3rd position at the Doha Grand Prix to boot. 2nd place going the way of Daniel Shireel. He's already up on the runner-up step of the podium, and for a 5th time in a row. You think back to the Doha Grand Prix in the very early stages of this season, 2 2nd places, and again less than a quarter of a second between himself and an elusive first race victory since his comeback. Taiyo Furusato is again your race winner, and I make that out of 9 starts in the Asia Talent Cup, including the aborted start to the 2020 season. He has taken 7 wins, 8 podiums all told.
Yeah, he missed out on a couple of wins at last year's rounds in Qatar as well. He actually led those races on the last lap and was caught out in the slipstream battle in Losail, and certainly he has been just a star in the making in the Asian Talent Cup over the last couple of years. Now he's got that chance to move on to the world stage, and it's going to be exciting to see how he deals with that.
Daniel Shireel's 2nd place, and given where we were just 3 short years ago, really has been a remarkable story for him. A shame in a sense that he couldn't quite manage to get the job done and take a victory to end the 2021 season. Time for the national anthem of Japan.
Congratulations.
Your podium trio from round 4 of the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, the Indonesian round, and the first visit to the Mandalika International Circuit. Asia Talent Cup opened this weekend. They won't close it because Supersport and Superbike are still to come from this venue. Your podium trio then, once again, as it has been in the 2 previous races this weekend, Taiyo Furusato, your race winner, Daniel Sharil taking 2nd position, and 3rd goes the way of Gunmie.
Okay, we're now going to move on, ladies and gentlemen, to the presentation of the top 3 awards for the riders overall in the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. We're going to ask again the FIM Asia President to present the awards, but first we are going to make a special presentation on behalf of FIM Asia to Dorna Sports in recognition of the great achievement of the Asia Talent Cup. To accept the award, please welcome onto the podium the Managing Director of Dorna Sports, Mr. Carlos Espeleta. And Mr.
the FIM Asia President will now present Mr. Espeleta
with the Special Recognition Award for the 2021 Asia Talent Cup, sponsored by Idemitsu. And again to the riders, if I could ask you please just to stay in position.
Four rounds, 7 races, including 3 this weekend, done and dusted in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. And that's a wrap from the Mandalika International Circuit in Indonesia. Goodbye for now.